I know you know him personally, so it's different for you.
Matt
But the
Mayoko?
Mayoko,
Oh, yeah.
Sam Darnold,
Woo!
greatest thrower ever thing.
Yeah.
Did you text him and be like, did you really say
Nah.
this?
Nah.
You haven't contacted him since then?
Nah, he's entitled to. I say some not stupid, wild things at times too. I think what was his logic? Like he was the third pick in the draft. He got drafted for his arm, and Niners haven't had a guy with that kind of pedigree. I guess is that where
I don't
he's
know.
coming from?
I don't
I
know
guess
because his
because
clarification
he was thinking like
article,
Lance was sort of drafted for his arm and his legs, and the Darnold was just more for his arm, and the Niners is like, well, what about Alex Smith was the first pick? I mean, Steve Young. I mean, I just
Young,
disagree.
Montana. Colin
Yeah.
Kaepernick had a crazy arm. Like, didn't
He
do
did.
everything.
I mean, he was drafted as a pitcher. Though I guess, I mean, Matty's entitled to say whatever he wants, and I love Matty, literally love him. But what concerns me about this is that I feel like someone in the organization said it and feels it. If that's how the organization privately feels about Sam Darnold, heaven help this group. They're never going to find a quarterback. They're never going to find one.
Isn't it also possible, though, and I think that we can be guilty of this sometimes, of assuming that everyone in the 49ers organization feels exactly the same about everything, right? That they're a monolith, that they either like Sam Darnold or they don't. They either like Trey Lance or they don't.
Agendas. There's agendas.
Yeah, it's possible that Shanahan says, you know what? I'm not quite sold on Brock. I want to look at Sam. I want to look at Trey. And it's possible John Lynch says, hey, Brock's the guy. I seen it. I believe. Like, there may not be consensus.
Also, remember, like there's OTAs going on right now, but the media is not there. We'll be there in about 2 weeks. So it'd be one thing if we watched, a few practices and Matt said, look, man, I've been covering this team since 1995. I just got to say, from what I've seen on with my eyes on the practice field, this dude's got the best arm I've seen. That'd be one thing. Because he said something like that a couple years ago about Trey Lance at training camp.
Greatest rookie quarterback he's ever seen.
And I felt the same way. I said he was the best Niners quarterback I've seen on a practice field yet. That's how I felt, and I still feel that way. He just has to play against a really good defense. What are we talking about?
Seeing quarterbacks in practice. If Matt had seen,
Darnold, I mean, like
throw.
He hasn't seen Darnold yet. So to me, this is like the team has seen Darnold. He might have heard something and said, "Hey, well, if they're saying it, I can say it too." Sorry, I lost my train of thought. But yeah. It just
Good
feels
point.
like the timing is kind of like he hasn't even seen Darnold in person yet. None of us have seen Darnold in person yet. So how do you say that?
Yeah, that's a fair question. Okay, Matt, if that's what you believe, that's fine. But are you just basing that on game film or what? Because you're right. Yeah, we haven't seen him yet.
Yeah.
Mr. Bell says Mahomes had a 734-yard game in the Niners pass because they had Jimmy. What kills me is that fans still think the front office knows what they're doing.
They're really flailing. And here's what I love. They have no plan at quarterback. No plan. But if something ever were to work out, they'd be like, boom, that's exactly what we thought was going to happen. Like with Brock Purdy, they were like, hey, this is the guy. And it's just like, he's a total life raft that came out of nowhere. And if Trey Lance comes out of nowhere and passes Brock, they'll be like, we always believed in this young man, Trey. People thought we didn't like him. I don't know where that came from because we always believed in him. Like, right, okay, sure.
Look what we've always said nice things about him, even though everything we've done contradicts them. And the other thing that they'll do is if Brock can't come back and play, or if he's just not the same and Trey doesn't work out, or they move on from Trey, they'll sign Kirk Cousins next year and say, well, this was our plan all along. That's what we wanted to do.
Here's something to think about. Once Trey Lance is off the team and is final, it will go down as one of the worst trades in NFL history, if not the worst. Unless he comes back and plays. If he just sits on the bench and walks in 2 years, it will go down as the worst trade or one of them in NFL history, and that will follow John Lynch and Kyle forever. But it hasn't gone down yet. There's still the possibility that Trey plays and plays well. So if you think about it, there's a bit of a ticking clock here. You got 2 years to win a Super Bowl. If you win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years, no one gives a crap about the Trey Lance trade. You win a Super Bowl, doesn't matter. If you don't win a Super Bowl and Trey Lance walks for nothing, get a comp pick, and you got to rebuild, everyone's going to talk about, man, you missed your window and you could have had it if you didn't trade for Trey. If you'd used those picks, I mean, it will be so many what ifs for the rest of your career, and that trade will ultimately define your tenure with the 49ers. So it's a very interesting 2 years. Win the Super Bowl and be defined by that, or don't and be defined by the worst trade ever.
I don't think so, because they've won so many games and they've had playoff success. If they weren't winning, they would get crushed. Because how can you say it's the worst trade of all time when you can argue like it hasn't really hurt us that much? Really?
Well,
I mean,
we'll see. We'll see. That's my prediction. We'll see. I could be wrong. But I have a feeling that once he's off the team, you're going to see a lot of think pieces in The Ringer. Does The Ringer still exist?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Think pieces, 5,000 words on the worst trade ever. Why did it happen? How did it happen? Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, this is what I think is going to happen. By the way, Niner Grandpa says, stop running from my live debate, Grant. I don't know what he's talking about, but
bring it, bro. Bring it, bro. Why you got to disrespect me, bro?
I've always said that people, when they feel safe, report things. That's when we learn the truth. If Trey comes out this year and he balls out, there's going to be a story that comes out. You don't realize how close Trey Lance was to getting traded. Or it'll be
Seth Wickersham.
Right. Or it'll be the opposite. It'll be the Niners would have given away Trey Lance for anything this year, and they didn't get a single offer. And thank God, because look how he's balling out now. But we're going to learn more if Trey Lance plays really well. There'll be one of those stories out there.
Look, it seems highly likely to me that he starts week 1, unless he freaking stinks it up this offseason. It seems highly likely he starts week 1. And if you look at his starts, they've mostly been early in the season where a lot of players have been injured. If he has a little luck and McCaffrey's healthy, and Kittle got injured in practice before week 1 last year and missed the first couple of weeks. If Kittle doesn't do that, if McCaffrey's there, if Debo's in shape, he just might win a few games. And if he gets rolling, I mean, look what happened to Brock. It's a really good team. Trey just might not give the job away. And really, let's say Trey doesn't start undefeated, but starts 4-2. You really going to bench him at 4-2 for a guy who's had no offseason and is coming off of surgery? You really going to do that? I don't think so.
I don't think they will either. By the way, Adam Backus, shout out to you. Giving you a little love there, Grant. Love the show.
Adam.
Keep up the good work. Adam, I'm just saying the show's on 2 YouTube channels. Just throwing it out there.
Adam, good choice. Thank you very much. I do want to say thank you very much. Usually you don't get generosity like this in early May, but Adam is excited about OTAs, as am I. Thank you.
The other thing is this, too. Trey Lance has always had starts at the beginning of I shouldn't say always. Last year, of course, he started at the beginning of the year. Everybody for the Niners starts slow in the beginning of the year. It's not just the quarterbacks. It's everybody. I mean, for multiple, if you go back really through Kyle's entire tenure, even in 2019, like Jimmy came out week 1 and was terrible against Tampa Bay, but Jameis threw 2 pick sixes. So they won the game.
Absolutely right. That's the truth.
It's not just Trey.
And if you look, he's played week 1, week 2, week 4, week 5, and week 17. And that's when he balled out. Week 17.
When did he look the best? Week 17.
Brock didn't have to do any of that stuff. He just got to play week 13 after the offense had been rolling for about a month and a half, which is nice. And I feel like probably Jimmy and Trey were both watching from the booth being like, lucky. I could have been in there playing with McCaffrey right now looking good. I bet.
He's had to have that thought, right? Like when Brock is balding out, somewhere in his mind, he had to think, that's supposed to be me.
Hell yeah, I could do that. I mean, look, he gets so much glory for checking down to Christian McCaffrey. Every time he checks down to Christian McCaffrey, it's a great play. Like, I could do that too. No, but I don't want to totally minimize Brock Purdy. I had this thought yesterday. One of the things I think is Brock's best trait, and it should be something he has for a long time, is how he plays in the red zone. I don't think he gets enough credit for that. Like, he is a playmaker in the red zone. He gets a lot of credit for those touchdown passes because I feel like red zone passing is some of the hardest things you could do.
Yes.
You have to extend the play. You have to get out of the pocket. You have to throw it into tight windows. You have to anticipate openings. That's not easy to teach. And he has a really good feel for that. So I want to give him credit for that.
100% agree about the red zone. You have to. Number one, everything is 10 times faster than it is even in a regular NFL game. You have to anticipate the openings. And then even if you anticipate it, you got to throw it. Like, you got to actually make the play. And Brock has generally protected the ball in those spots. Sometimes, makes me a little nervous with the scrambling around because sometimes I think he should just kill the play, like let the play end and, live to play again. But he hasn't really put the ball in harm's way too much. I'd like to see him run plays a little more in the red zone.
He had that one rushing touchdown where he broke through the middle. Yep. He's a little bit of a playmaker in the red zone, and that's honestly kind of rare. There's a lot of great quarterbacks who kind of stink it up in the red zone and take the field goal. The thing about Jimmy was he would be very good in the middle of the field, but once you got him inside the 20, he wasn't going to do much. And that's why I didn't like the McCaffrey trade. I mean, when they first got McCaffrey, they played against the Chiefs. They marched right down the field and kicked a field goal. And I'm like, boom, there's nothing McCaffrey can do to make Jimmy better. And then you got Brock, who actually is better than Jimmy.
Sean says, hot take, they don't win a Super Bowl in San Francisco. Kyle will never be a head coach again. He's been a head coach too long. The league has seen enough. OC only. He needs to win here. I mean, he's been like, the offense was really good last year, though. After they got McCaffrey, they were putting up 33 points a game with Mr. Irrelevant. Like the idea that Kyle would get a head coaching job in a second if he were fired
the
today.
league is still hiring his assistants. Like his assistants are getting hired every year. But, his reputation could change any point, You're cutting edge one year, you're not the next year. So we'll have to see. We'll see. We'll see. But it doesn't feel like he's leaving this team anytime soon. I mean, they're pretty tied to him. They seem terrified to lose him.
I would be terrified to lose him. Honestly, like I don't want anybody else except for maybe Andy Reid. Kyle's the only other guy I would want coaching this team. That's it. To be honest,
my thing with Kyle is like, if you're going to fumble the quarterback position, at a certain point, I'm going to kind of tune out all of your strengths. And there's a lot of them. But fair. I don't want to hear about your scheme and your defense and your weapons and da-da-da-da. If you can't get the quarterback position at all, it's like, ugh. Maybe you are an OC, man. Maybe there needs to be people making decisions over your head.
If you can't handle the quarterback position, like that is a problem. That supersedes the other good things that you do. That's totally fair.